friends, welcome back to Regular Secular Mama. If you didn't notice, I'm in my truck again at soccer practice. So this might be a new trend. I just have had such a hard time getting the time and the space in my RV to film anything at all. I didn't have a video last week and I almost didn't have a video this week, and I thought, you know what? I'm at the soccer fields like every single day. Like, I live at the soccer fields right now. So I figured I would go ahead and try to just film a video in here. It might be a little chatty and a little casual, but that's okay. I'm not gonna lie, I do feel a little bit self-conscious filming in my car with like zero makeup on and everybody coming to and from their soccer practice, but it's okay, we're just gonna roll with it. Today's video is all about how I plan to approach writing and composition in next year's homeschool. So I am not quite to the point where I am actively gathering curriculum and resources and things that we're going to need for our next school year, but it's about the time where I start thinking about what's working well this year and what we may continue using next year or what we may need to use instead. Today's video is focusing only on writing and composition and some of the things I think we're going to do next year. My kids are at totally different levels right now. My son is 9 years old. He'll be 10 in just a couple of months, and he would be in 4th grade if he was in public school. I would say maybe his level of writing is probably less than, I guess, the typical 4th grader would be, which is okay. I have no problem with that, but he would maybe be more on like a 3rd grader's level when it comes to writing and composition, which is far below where my daughter is. She's 12 years old and she would be a 6th grader this year, and I feel like she's pretty much on par with what I imagine 6th graders are writing. This video, I'll kind of break it up and talk about each of them individually because they're on such different levels. First, I'm going to talk about my daughter, my 12-year-old, because she is, unfortunately, she's kind of my guinea pig. She's my first kid, and so she's the one who gets all of the new curriculum that I'm trying and gets to deal with all of my new ideas and experimentation. And what works well for her might not work well for my son, but she gets all the my new ideas first. We have actually done quite a lot of different language arts or writing and grammar curricula. The first one that comes to my mind, and probably your mind as well, is Michael Clay Thompson. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers, a lot of interest in my Michael Clay Thompson videos, so I'll definitely be trying to get more of that content out to you. Even though we're not actively using Michael Clay Thompson right now, I have a lot of thoughts about it. If you saw my Michael Clay Thompson update very recently, you would know that the grammar portion is one that I'm a huge fan of. I'm a huge fan of Michael Clay Thompson grammar, but I think we are at a point where we don't need to do grammar next year. Both of my kids have a really good grasp on everything they've learned so far in Michael Clay Thompson. I don't think we need to really push that practice anymore for now. I don't think we need to really move on to the next level yet. So I want to focus our attention more on just composition skills in general. In keeping with that, we have used Kilgallen's sentence composing. I always get the titles of this messed up, so I'll put a picture here where you can see it. But it's Kilgallen's sentence composing work texts, and there are different levels for elementary, middle, and high school. My daughter did the middle school sentence composing work text, and I can see some of the translation between those skills, those like sentence playing around with different sentence structures, and how that translates into some of her other writing projects. So I like that I'm seeing those skills kind of being integrated into her work. I'd have to check where we're at. I think we are about halfway through that work text from Kilgallen, and we're going at a very slow pace on that because she is also using writing with skill, the first level of writing with skill, and that has gone surprisingly well. I was a little bit overwhelmed looking at the teacher book for that, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be something we could follow easily. I was worried about her following the book written to the student without a whole lot of guidance from me because she's 12 and sometimes the directions go whoop. So However, I am pleasantly surprised by the level of work that she's putting out and the quality of work that she's putting out. It's not too difficult for her to follow on her own. I do have to sit down sometimes and kind of like go over the directions with her if she missed like a huge chunk of the directions, but that's just a totally different skill that we're working on. That's basically all we're doing as far as like writing and composition skills. We're not doing any grammar. We're just doing writing with skill and Kilgallen, and then the odd research assignment for science or history. So not a whole lot of writing outside of those two resources. So as far as next year goes, it's hard to say yet what we're going to use next year for writing, because we still have, I don't know, a couple of months left of this school year, and I'm not sure exactly how far we're going to get in writing with skill. I know for sure we're not going to finish the book. We almost never finish a book. I have a feeling we are going to simply continue writing with skill and just pick it up where we left off after our summer break. So probably continuing writing with skill. I don't think we're going to continue Kilgallen after finishing the work text that she's in right now, the sentence composing for middle school. We could go on and do like the paragraph composing for middle school, which would be, I think, the logical next step. But I think that would just increase the quantity of writing that she's doing, maybe, and not maybe increasing the quality, if that makes sense. I think that just might be adding too much to our workload. The one change I know for sure that I want to make, and it might actually be coming up very soon, is to include more cross-content writing activities. For history, we are using Build Your Libraries Level 5 as like our main lesson plan, and then I also sprinkle in some Blossom and Roots River of Voices like activities and journaling prompts and things in with those lessons. Now, we don't always do the writing assignments that goes with history. Most of the writing that's included in Build Your Library is every week she assigns a weekly summary of something you learned in history that week. So I think at this level it's more of a paragraph or two and not, like an essay. But that is something we don't do a whole lot of because we were working on some very specific skills with writing. However, once we move from Build Your Libraries Level 5 into Level 6, I think I'm going to stick more closely to the lesson plans that she has provided and not try to change things so much myself, purely for simplicity's sake and keeping my sanity intact. Because I plan on sticking more closely with what Emily Cook has already mapped out in Level 6, I'm going to try to include all of those writing assignments that she has worked in. So either I am underestimating the amount of writing that my 12-year-old is willing to or capable of doing, or it is actually going to maybe be too much writing. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling and this is getting very chatty, so I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications as always. I'm sure with all that rambling, you got a little bit lost. I think I got a little bit lost. So in a nutshell, for my 12-year-old who would be going into 7th grade next year, we will be probably continuing writing with skill Level 1, and we will not continue Kilgallen after finishing the sentence composing workbook, and we'll be including more of the writing prompts and summaries and things included in Build Your Library's history lessons. So that's my plan for her. There's one other thing that I think I'm going to include, and it might be just starting in the next week or so because I feel a need for it now. There are a couple of specific punctuation errors that are made repeatedly in my daughter's writing. Rather than being negative and pointing out things that are wrong in her writing, I think what I'll do instead is just print out a couple of worksheets and have her do them here and there to brush up on like specific punctuation errors or grammar errors that she's making. So that's the plan for my daughter next year. I realize it's not terribly exciting. It's not new and flashy and shiny, but it's what we need and what I think will work best for us next year. So my son, on the other hand, oh geez, he would be in 4th grade, right? And like I said before, he is probably a little under where most fourth graders are at in their level of writing, both in quantity and quality. I have some specific concerns I think I want to address with him. The first would be his spelling. It's kind of getting in the way of his writing. It's actually something that he has expressed interest in improving without me prompting him. So he wants to improve his spelling. We were using All About Spelling, and because it is more teacher intensive, I don't know if it was him or me, but it would always get pushed to the end of the day and sometimes just not even done at all. So what we did instead is we switched to the 180 Days of Spelling and Word Study workbook. My daughter had used one previously and she liked it a lot. It's super independent. It's really easy to follow. A lot of different interesting activities that go along with the words, and not just, copying a spelling list over and over. He actually likes that workbook and doesn't mind doing it. He doesn't argue with me about it or anything like that, which I call a win. But I have noticed that he's not actually applying things that he's already learned in All About Spelling to either his 180 Days of Spelling workbook or just other things that he has to write for school. There are simple spelling phonetic rules, I guess, from All About Spelling that he's forgetting about. For example, he had to write, I think, the name Rick or something like that, Jack, and it ended with CK. It was a very simple spelling. It was just a short vowel sound with the CK at the end. And that's something he's already learned in All About Spelling and was very good at doing. But since we haven't done that in a few weeks, it was like he completely forgot about it. So, long story short, I think we will be switching back to All About Spelling and just making it a priority because it did result in a little bit better spelling for him. Some other things that he's using right now for writing and composition are he narrates to me every day after he's done with his independent reading. He goes and he reads on his own for about 15 minutes and then he comes to me and narrates what he read. For a long time, we were just having him narrate to me while I scribed for him in his workbook, and I would just write down his narration and maybe help him with making sure that they're complete sentences and things like that. Lately, he has been enjoying doing some different narration style activities that are mostly inspired by Build Your Library. Within her curriculum, she offers these narration cards that have different activities like act out a favorite scene from what you read, or create a wanted poster for a character that's like a villain in your story. So sometimes it is just tell back what you heard, and sometimes it's something interesting and a little more creative. He's been really enjoying that. Of course, his favorite is when he gets to use Minecraft to maybe rebuild a setting from what he read. Anyway, so that's more of just a separate composition skill without him actually writing a whole lot down. My goal for him this year was to get him physically writing down longer things just so he can build endurance in writing things. So he is also doing a Kilgallen workbook. It's the sentence composing but for the elementary years. I think that is a really appropriate level for him. It's basically like copy work, but he's having to play around with sentence structure a little bit and model good sentences from quality literature. So I really, really like these work texts. If you haven't checked them out and you want something simple just to help play with and improve sentence structure, definitely go check those out, and I'll link them in my description below. But he's been working his way through the elementary school work text, and he's not very far into it because we go really, really slow, sometimes even just one of the sentences a day from an activity. And like my daughter, we have set aside grammar from Michael Clay Thompson because I don't feel like we need to really continue that right now. He was saturated with grammar concepts, and to add any more was going to cause a lot of, I think, frustration and bogging him down. So we put it aside and we'll pick it up probably not next year, maybe even after that. So that's basically all he's doing. He's narrating to me from his reading, his independent reading, and he is working on through the Kilgallen work text. So because I want him to get used to writing longer things and try to get used to organizing things like paragraphs, I may actually get him the Kilgallen paragraph composing workbook for elementary. I need to take a look at it and see if it's going to be something that's overwhelming or if it will actually help him. I do have Paragraph Town already because I used that with my daughter last year. I don't know if I'm going to use that, and that's a whole separate video on why Paragraph Town may or may not be a good fit. But I think it's a little bit vague and a little bit open-ended for him. I feel like writing is something that he needs a little bit more structure and just like, do this, this, and this, these are the steps, and then it's done. So I don't think I'm going to use that with him, even though I have it, and it would be nice to just use what I have instead of buying something else. There is something else that I've used way in the past that I think might actually be a really good fit for him, and that is IEW. I haven't talked a lot about IEW because we put it aside a couple of years before I even started this channel. So it's kind of like far in the past, but my daughter used IEW for, I think it was 2 whole years. One year she did the student writing intensive, which was the previous version of, what do they call it now? Student structure and style, something like that, SSS. It used to be called student writing intensive. So she did 1 year of that. And then the next year, I just planned our writing activities around that. I just planned our own units and writing assignments. Anyway, I know IEW has a couple of levels that are geared a little bit younger. I am toying with the idea of trying out IEW on him. I have gone through the teacher program, so I am very familiar with how the units work, and I'm very comfortable with planning a couple of lessons for him for a few weeks just to see if that method fits for him. It wasn't a super great fit for my daughter. It served its purpose, but after a while she kind of was losing that creative spark, I guess, and so we stopped with her. But because it is so, what's the word? Because it is so cut and dry, it's very step by step, I think it's something that might actually work really well for my son. And I'd also like to, like I said with my daughter, include some more of the writing prompts and assignments that are already in Build Your Library. So to sum it all up, for my son, my current 4th grader going into 5th grade next year, I am pretty sure we are still going to be working through the Kilgallen sentence composing book. And I may look at getting the paragraph composing work text from Kilgallen. Alternatively, I may do IEW writing assignments instead of the Kilgallen work text. So I'm kind of like between those two for composition. Almost certainly going to switch from 180 Days of Spelling back to All About Spelling because it just clicked better for him. He was able to retain it better. And I am planning to continue doing narrations pretty much the same way I have been. So there again, I don't have a whole lot that's new and shiny for my son. We are just going to keep it simple. I think that is really the motto for us for the rest of this school year and probably next school year. Keep it simple. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sticking with me and dealing with the car videos and lack of videos sometimes. It's just been really difficult being in this RV trying to get videos filmed, first of all, and then sit down and edit them on my computer. It's like there's no space. No space. Surprise. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed all this and I hope you stick around. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out when I finally get some new videos up. I always like to hear from you in the comments down below too. If you have used any of these resources and enjoy them or don't enjoy them, let me know down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!